Can I talk to Muhammad Asghar Khan? Or can I talk to Abdul Aziz? At least no one is responding. So I will continue as per schedule. So my idea over here was to share with you the some live demonstration of IoT based application where we can have a small sort of IoT based visualization how these things actually work.
Here we not use extra antenna for the tracking low in. Here is the key features: GPS receiver,
Yeah. Yes, Shiraz Hussain sir, am I audible?
Yes, sir, it's audible now.
Okay, thank you so much. I know only you are there for to respond for all our queries and all other what whenever we require from any acknowledgement from the participant. So I find Shiraz is there for us to at least respond. So I was from past 10 minutes, I was asking them if they are interested in this particular session. This is an optional session. So it's not an rocket science will be shared over in this particular session. So I told other people as well, they can leave this session, they can join us at 2 p.m. onwards. This is just an optional session. There will be no, you know, attendance and all that issues in this particular session. Only if I have 4 or 5 people in this particular session, that is sufficient for me to conduct this session in just 1 hour. So we left in my previous session, we left with some, as I mentioned, we will go through, I have some small prototyping or small modules over here that can behave as an IoT based network use cases. So Shiraz, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, okay. So my idea for this particular session was at least how at our home we can design an IoT based network where we can have a feel of how IoT based networks or in different use cases or different application environments where we can utilize those concepts, those ideas to be transformed in sort of a small module, in sort of a small sort of system that can behave like where we have some sort of smart objects or IoT devices that are communicating with communicating modules, and finally they are transmitting their data or the information to their maybe to some remote terminals, some remote control systems, or directly to the servers or to the cloud. So that was one idea. So my work first, I want just a minute. I will. Are you able to see this?
Still not.
Yes. Now, is it visible on another screen as well?
Yes.
Because I am showing through my mobile phone, because it is not possible for me to take my system to all those different locations
Yes,
where I
it's
can show.
visible now. It's visible.
So basically, for designing a small sort of a module for IoT based module, we may require first a mother, this breadboard. So this is a breadboard. So I can show you how we can. I was just going through the, because my right now I told you the problem which I am facing on my main system is that it is not responding. So right now I have not any time to at least troubleshoot this system because this session is going on. So I'm not able to at least show you direct demonstration from my this particular system which is in front of me, which is not working. So I will share one. Just a minute. Is it visible now? Yeah. So
Yes,
yeah.
that's visible.
So this is a small. So for this, the devices or the components which we require in this particular, making this dustbin a smart dustbin, so that can interact intuitively and then finally it will work accordingly. So for this thing, what we require, just fast forward it. So we require this. This is an ultrasonic sensor, and the second main microcontroller or that can act over here as a main node, that is the Arduino Uno. We require this, and then we require one more thing, that is this connecting cable that will help us in connecting. Then one more component which we require is the battery or the power supply that will provide energy to these microcontrollers and other important components or the smart devices which are to be going to be associated with this particular device. Then one more thing which we require, that can at least a mechanical sort of device or a sensor, that is the servo motor that will work as per the programming, as per the code. It will behave as per the code, that is the instructions which are given in the code. So these are some small sort of thing, or maybe we may require a breadboard or in order to have connection, proper connection on this breadboard. Then finally, all these. So this is the servo motor. This is the idea about whenever you go in front of that particular smart dustbin, the lid opens automatically and you don't have to that take that lid off with your hand. So you can simply go in front of that particular smart dustbin, and it will automatically open the lid, and finally you can drop that your trash in that particular dustbin. So this is small example of this. So what is the basic ID or the platform or the framework where you can code this? So this is the Arduino base, because we are using Arduino controllers over here. So we require this particular ID or the coding platform where you can do all these things. So this is the actual code for this particular uh, ultrasonic sensor that can work with the motor, servo motor as well, and finally you can uh, work accordingly. So over here there are some small, you can find out all these things on internet as well. These are very all code, all sort of programming code for all most of the sensors and the connectivity module, whether it is Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, wireless LAN, or other Zigbee and all those code modules or the packages are already available in most of the codes are available in Arduino, or you can get all those codes from the Google. So main thing, one setting that you require here is you require to select which board you are using. So right now I am using Arduino Uno board. So you need to select Arduino Uno. Then finally you have to just make proper connections. So which I have shared with in this particular directly on this. So you need to have proper pin diagram of this particular module. And then finally you can this code is after proper execution is to be burned. This code is to be burned on this particular board, and then finally it is to be deployed. This whole module or setup is to be placed on that particular dustbin, that we can call that dustbin as a smart dustbin. Then there are other modules as for this dustbin. This dustbin we can connect some other modules as well. For example, we can connect this is a small, you are seeing in my hand, this is basically a Bluetooth device. You can integrate this device with this in the form of a breadboard with this particular existing module. So you can, after then you have to once again program the existing module with this Bluetooth or Wi-Fi as well. Then finally you can connect that particular module to whether you want to connect it on your phone, on your other device, where you can have a web portal, or you can connect it with the cloud as well, where you can get direct data. I'm just taking example of. So there are another, I have what I have in front of me, I have some another sensors. For example, this is the smoke sensor. So whenever you require, for example, you want some IoT based feeling or IoT based use case or a network in your home, in a smart city, where you have to, whenever there is any sort of smoke coming out of from the, if there is some uh, in the form of gas or other things are coming out of from your homes, from your kitchen. So is there any module or the application which you can use so that that can automatically capture all those things, and finally you will be able to see where that actual smoke is coming from where particular, from which particular location. Then this is once again which I have shared with you. This is an ultrasonic sensor. This can be placed in order, if you have to detect any motion, if you have to detect any object, whether this can be placed in front of your, you may have seen some nodes on the most of the cars at the rear side of your car, where if you if you move your car in reverse direction, whenever you reach a particular obstacle or block, you will find out that you will see that there is no space left, or you will get some alarm warnings that you are reaching a proper limit where you may have you may cause some destruction or some damage to your car. So it is all possible with these sensors. So there are a number of sensors, other sensors, and there are different microcontrollers which you can associate with your. There are another Raspberry Pis are there, where they are just like a small computer. You need to integrate all those physical devices, smart devices, to be associated with that particular thing, and finally you will be able to see see the actual what you want from that. So there are some other, this is basically the GSM module. So you can connect your existing IoT base, where if you want to communicate it with, for example, you may have seen in your new cars in case of MG Hector. So now there is a mechanism for placing you can now have a SIM to be placed in that particular car that can continuously, that must have some data packs, or there's some data services to be associated with that particular so in that case, you will be able to see someone is saying, please allow me. So there are other various things which we can have, we can feel have, but this is not the, I think, the right time to at least go for all these. So this is a small sort of sensor. This is the moisture sensor. Are you able to see? This is the moisture sensor, where in case of, as I told you, in case of agriculture, precision agriculture, you can place these and small sort of minute uh, modes or dust, sort of smart dust nodes, where can be associated with all those places where you can get the feeling of what is the actual water content available present in that particular crop or in that particular field. So with that, you will be able to judge whether I should irrigate my field or crop at a particular point of time or not. So other devices are, this is a USB based, this is a transceiver as well. So if you need to connect, if you want, you have a particular module placed, you want that you have collected the data from different sensors, and that data is to be transmitted over some module and communicated using radio frequency or other electromagnetic waves. So with this particular transceiver, you'll be able to transmit or receive both. I mean, you will be able to transmit or receive to some other wireless module or wireless framework or wireless infrastructure as well. So there are other, now directly moving on to my second. So am I audible?
Yes, sir. Audible.
Yes, this is, I want to show in a quick succession. This is one more module of, that is it visible?
Yes, sir. Visible.
Yeah, you are seeing screen where we have different sensor nodes. These are the sensor nodes from MEMSIC. So, and I will just give you a brief idea about this particular IoT based module, where we have, these are the end devices sensor nodes. So these are of same capability and quality. These are able to, and we have a gateway. Give me a minute just. Text included. So I will show you. This is the basic, this is the gateway. As I told you, we need, for example, the end IoT nodes need to basically they are working in different clustering schemes, or in the form of tree, or in the hierarchical form, or the base level physical, which you have seen in the IoT architectures, that there we have a perception layer, then, or we call that as a device layer. Then we have the edge layer. Then we have the application in the form of, we have middleware layer. Then we have the uh, topmost layers, or we can have at that cloud or other applications as well. So right over here, so these are the end devices in the form of sensor nodes. So these sensor nodes have a capability of capturing humidity, temperature, pressure, light, and acceleration. That is, they are also helping us in getting the motion of that particular parameters, to capture all these parameters from the environment where we want to place these sensors in a particular application use case, or where we have to capture all these parameters as per the feasibility, as per the requirement in that particular application. We can place all those. So these this is basically a wireless communication. So there is no physical connection between this sensor node and another sensor node and to the gateway. So over here you are seeing, this is basically the gateway, or an edge, or we call that as a sink as well, where all these sensor nodes communicate with this gateway or a sink node first, and then this sink node can directly communicate with the rest of the infrastructure. And finally, you are seeing over here, we have a screen over here. We are getting live data of all these 5 or 6 sensors. So, so how this is possible? So we are having sensor. This is basically a particular sensor board. Then uh, how to acquire their data. So there are different ways of acquiring data, taking data from these different sensors. So acquire live data, or view historical data analysis. For data analytics, if we have some data already available in our system, or in some control or data centers, we can also then select acquisition type, whether it is local, whether it is remote, whether it is custom. But right now over here we have all these sensors in front of us, so we can have direct this. Then moving on, what is the gateway which we are using over here? This is the gateway MIB 510, and we have to use a C because it is directly communicating with the system. So we need to mention the we need to mention uh, the serial port. So this is a proper because at application layer you need to mention the port number as well, so that it can communicate. It can directly communicate to that particular application level at which particular application service you are using. So what will be the baud rate for this particular. Then finally, advanced server settings, or you can go for this. Then finally, the database. So basically, our we want to share our data, want to store our data on this local host, means the system which we are having right now. Or we can add if we want to communicate this to a particular server that is located somewhere else, we must have a connection to that particular server as well. So we need to mention all those details over here, and then finally saving all these settings over here, and then finally going for the server board which we are using. Then finally doing all this, we'll be able to. This is the continuous all these. For example, now it is up to us where we want to place these sensor nodes. So these sensor nodes can be placed at different locations, and we can get continuous. So you are seeing we are getting live updates about this particular. Uh, so what will be the humidity in that particular region? What is the temperature? What is the pressure? And what is the strength or the light strength in that particular area, and is the acceleration, its x and y coordinates in that particular particularly where we have placed on. So with those sensors, with this data, we can go for further, as I told you. So there are, we with these physical parameters collected from the environment, we can judge. So what sort of control system we want to activate in that particular with respect to this data received from the environment. So this is one shot with this particular live example of IoT based networks.